Well, hi once again, everybody. Welcome into what promises to be, another fabulous edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for golfers, brought to you by Encore Golf and Grindworks USA, probably the best damn club you're ever going to hit. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers, and we want to welcome you in. Weather here is horrible. Okay, it's the only way to put it. It's ice cold outside. We expect snow flurries today with a bunch of rain and wind for the next few days. Really not a good time to be on the golf course. You wouldn't think that we live in the desert with all of this going on. It just doesn't seem to want to give up, just doesn't seem to want to turn into springtime as it should. But you know what? It is what it is, and can't do anything about it. We are in the middle of Las Vegas, coming to you again, of course, live from the fabulous Rigel Studios, right in the center of Las Vegas, moments away from the Las Vegas Strip, where people are walking around just bundled up because it is blowing. It is, like I say, it's crazy that the wintertime seems to be really settled in right in southern Nevada, and it just won't give up. But you got to go with it, and if it's not good weather to play golf, but yet I know there are people playing outside on the golf course thinking, all right, a little bit of wind, a little bit of cold. I come from back east. I can handle it, but it just not for me. Anyway, we've got a great show for you, and before we get started, as I have mentioned here on the show before, the LIV Tour starts this week in Mexico. Then they go to take off a couple of weeks, and then they're in Tucson, which I'm going to go to the event in Tucson. I'm really looking forward to that. And by the way, also, as I have said on the show many times before, we've talked about it, all of the LIV Tour players are all going to be eligible, are all welcome into all four majors this year, and there's a lot of reasons why, which we won't get into on this show, but that's a very, very good thing. And I told you it was going to happen. It would be stupid otherwise to not have some of the best players in the world playing in the majors. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about our special guest today, who we've had on the show before, one of our favorite guests, because he's open, he's honest, he tells it like it is, and we just love that here on the 19th hole. Ken Green is a former tour player who has competed on the PGA Tour, the Nationwide Tour, and also the PGA Tour Champions. Ken has amassed 11 tournament wins, with five coming on the PGA Tour. Ken also played on the United States Ryder Cup team in 1989. Ken suffered a terrible accident in his RV, causing him to lose his right leg. After a period of time, Ken continued to play professionally, continued to play competitive golf, of course, on a limited basis, but was absolutely awesome. Also in June of 2019, Ken released a self-published book, an autobiography entitled Hunter of Hope, a life lived inside, outside, and on the ropes. It's a fabulous, fabulous read. Ken is also a huge animal lover, like I am, and has been a symbol for disabled golfers getting back into the game and really, really enjoying it. So without further ado, let's bring up our man of the hour, Mr. Ken Green. Ken, always love having you on the show. You know that, and thanks for taking time out and coming on today.
Oh, my pleasure, big boy. How you doing out there besides freezing your tail off?
That's about it. We're freezing our tail out. Of course, you're down in West Palm, which is near Miami, so the weather's got to be good where you are, huh?
We're actually fighting a little bit of a heat wave. I know it's a little bummer for you. It's like 83 today.
Really?
I know that it sounds like you're whining, but when you're used to like perfect weather,
Yeah.
it annoys you, and it just shows you how fickle we are as humans.
I love that. I love that. Before we get going, tell us a little bit about your T-shirt.
Oh, Nips Haven. I have you may remember I once saved my German Shepherd from an alligator, so
Yep.
we turned it around, and that's the logo we use.
I love it.
I have a small dog foundation where I try to help as many rescue dogs as I can, and dogs are just
The
there's
best.
nothing better than a dog. Their
They're the
love is
best.
pure, it's true. And it's those who aren't dog people look at you like you're some sort of whack job.
Yeah.
When you lose one and it takes you a while to get over it. But if you're a dog person, they mean as much to you as anybody in the family.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think I might have mentioned to you, I have a good friend. His name is Sam Adams. He's a golf blogger. He always says, he's also a huge dog lover, 5 minutes on the couch with my dog is better than an hour with a shrink laying on his couch. And that is very, very, very true. Also, real quickly, tell us about the Nip Open that's coming up.
Well, the Nip Open I've kind of made famous. I've basically played little Nip Opens all over the world. Sometimes it's just a hotel room. Sometimes it's the hotel walkways. Sometimes it's outside in different people's properties when we're playing the Masters or something like
Right.
that. We borrow their yard. So the major of the majors is at my house. And, I designed 12 holes. We played 12 two times. Over the house, through the house, around the house.
Great.
When I reached 6 windows broken, I put all hurricane windows in, so we haven't had a broken window in 3 years. So,
That's
but
great.
it's a blast. It really is.
It's got to be a blast. It has got to be a blast. Ken, in the 1989 Ryder Cup, by the way, the first Ryder Cup, as you're aware of, played in Europe to be televised live here in the United States. The European Tour retained the cup only because you guys ended up in a tie, and by virtue of the fact that they had won it a couple of years before, they retained the cup. What's your biggest takeaway from having that experience in the Ryder Cup?
Well, first off, I think that tie rule needs to go. It is absolutely ridiculous that you're basically spotted a half a shot or a full shot before the event even starts.
Yep, I agree.
Either call it a tie and it's a tie, or have a playoff. I mean, it's just, I understand why they did it way back when, because the Americans were so dominant way back when. They probably threw that in there as a little bonus in case there was a tie.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's not lopsided. Lately it's been lopsided the other way. That's soon to change. But it's what I remember the most about the Ryder Cup is each round was like that Sunday of a tournament where you're in full grind mode and focus mode
Right.
of trying to pick off that W, and it was just 3 days of a high. I mean that if you're a professional golfer or any athlete, that's what you live for, that high, that moment that your experience is about as deep and hard as it's going to get.
Yep.
Emotionally and physically. And it was just it's a memory that will always be with me. And I'm still to this day can't figure out how I lost that match, because everything went. I hit such a great shot in there, and Jose hit an awful shot. How it bounced out of the bunker, the left lip of the bunker, nevertheless, and then onto the green and not go in the water. My shot was flagged, and instead of being about 5 feet, it rolls down the big ass hill that the Belfry had.
Yeah.
And now I got an impossible 80-footer, and it was just, it's ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ugly to handle. I mean, here it is, 35 years later, and it still burns me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. That was something. Let me ask you this: was Ray Floyd a good captain?
Yeah, I was in the era where they didn't get wacky. They only had one captain. We didn't have a vice captain.
Right.
5 of them now. And then, I think that's their way of trying to appease the Americans when they started losing all the Ryder Cups. So they kept throwing out these little ideas that maybe would make them play better
Right.
or something, Then they went with all the dopey captains picks, and it's like, it's about playing golf, guys. It's got nothing to do with the captains. It's got nothing to do with the captain's picks.
Right.
Captain's picks usually don't work out well because they're usually friends that
Right.
aren't playing all that great. And it's, I'd like to see him almost go back to just 2 captain's picks and let 10 guys earn it,
Yeah.
and that's the way it should be.
I agree with you totally. Because they're there to be cheerleaders. I understand that. But what they really add to it is minimal, I think, if anything. Let me ask you, back in the day, Ken, I mentioned you won 5 events on the PGA Tour alone. Was the PGA Tour then more fun than it is today? And if so, why?
Well, it was more intense and more, I hate to say competitive, but that's only because of the fact that we weren't playing for a lot of money. So it was intense. Whereas now they're all loaded.
Yeah.
So that part of the competitive spirit is gone because you don't really care whether you finish 3rd or 7th or 15th anymore. Whereas, back in my day, 3rd and 7th was a massive paycheck.
Right.
So in that respect, I think you had your close friends. I think every guy had probably 2 or 3 guys that they're really close with, and then the rest were friends, but not, we're going to go out to have dinner and we're going to hang out and, shoot the bull and all that kind of crap. Whereas, today, they're flying private together. They're, and it's good, and I'm happy that they're making, tons of money, although today it's too much money.
I agree.
But the unknown is, how is it affecting some of the players today in the sense of, are they really giving it everything they have? It's hard to be driven like a Tiger or even like a Phil or Jack or, where they just play the game because they love it and they want the
Right.
competition.
Right.
Whereas, like what will happen with the Live? Are they making too much money where they're not going to put all that time into it? I've already heard a few points that, on the regular tour, guys are hitting balls after they finish, before they start, after. On the Live Tour, not so many are. And, is that a product of knowing that they have this guaranteed money?
Yeah.
Only they can answer that question. And quite honestly, none of them are going to give you the truth anyway.
Well, I was going to ask you about the Live Tour, but as long as you brought it up now, let me give you a scenario, Ken, and say that today you were at the height of your career, and somebody came up to you and said, Ken, we want you to play the Live. We're going to give you $20 million. We're going to pay all your expenses. We're going to fly you everywhere. We've got 15 events. You could spend a lot of time at home with the dogs, with whoever, and everything is pretty much done for you. That's pretty damn hard not to really seriously consider, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is to a point. I mean,
Plus
you're
the
probably
money
asking
you
the wrong
win
guy.
for winning an event. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's hard. I'm not probably the right guy because I don't play golf for money and never have. And the thing that I would ask myself first is, are we going to hurt golf? If I don't feel it's going to hurt golf, then I would have no problem doing it. I'm not as worried about some people are about, well, their reputation. They've done this, they've done that.
Yeah.
Well, we've all got blood. So I just throw that out the window. The thing that concerns me with Live is, are they in it for the long run? Or are we going to have a damaged 15-year run here where not all the best players are playing each other? And now the PGA Tour has set up a whole new system now that is probably going to hurt the middle player, and it's going to be all towards the top 20 now,
Yeah.
top 30 players
Yep.
in the world, and
Yep.
I believe that hurts golf. And no matter what anyone tells you, and I know Jack and Arnie, they wanted these limited events and these invitations and all that. It's harder to win an event when there's less players.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. And I don't, I mean, it's been years since I've had a chat down with Jack about that, but I know we disagreed on that. It's like, why wouldn't you want everyone to play that can play? And I hate that it seems like that's where we're going. And then the other thing is, like I was saying, are the Saudis going to stay in it for the long run? And that's what scares me. I don't care about the reputation. I'm more concerned about, are they in it for the long run? And the majors, I don't think it matters to anybody if these guys are playing the majors or not. And the ones that take it personal are probably going to have a little more fight in them, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a Rory versus, Cam coming down the gun, will that have an effect? Only time will tell whether they're gonna,
All right.
whether it's gonna spur Rory on to make a few more putts.
Yeah.
Cam can't make any more putts. He makes everything. So,
Yeah.
it's only time's gonna tell, really.
Yeah, that's very true. And and I've been saying for a while now, I said, you watch. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. And sure enough, I predicted that they were going to get some television coverage. They did. Okay, be it the CW, but at least it's something. They got a brand new title sponsor the other day. So I think they are on their way. But again, you bring up a good point, Ken. How much are they going to put into it before they feel they're getting, a fair shake? At least it's not all going out. They've got some coming in, and they're getting more and more players each month. And I predict that after the first major, the Masters, that I think a couple of really, really big names are going to move over to live, and it's going to be very, very interesting. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Anyway, Ken, stay with us. We're going to step aside, take our first short break here on the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers, and when we return, a lot more with our very great guest, great guy, Ken Green. Stay with us. We're back right after this.
You an E or a C?
Both have Ridgeback.
These are loaded with tech.
Which one are you gaming? Definitely E for me.
It's just so forgiving.
I'm definitely an E. C is for Cheka. What else?
C is for kill it.
C is me. Low spinning bombs.
So, are you an E or a C?
I don't know. Hey, wait a minute.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to our continuation of the show with our guest, Mr. Ken Green. And Ken, let me ask you, is it hard, or how hard is it to sustain the level of play like Jon Rahm is exhibiting today? Because this guy is hotter than, I don't know, Rihanna in a bikini or something. How hard is it to sustain that? I mean, it just seems incredible.
Well, first off, I'm going to try to picture Rihanna and then Rahm in a bikini and wonder which way I'm going to go. It's hard. I mean, it really is. I mean, and to have two guys doing it almost similar, Rory's on a pretty good run himself.
Yep.
Is really hard to do. Now, this is going to sound like I'm an old goat. Well, I am. It's a little easier in today's world because of the technology.
Yeah.
So you can get away with your mishits a little better.
Yep.
Whereas it was harder to keep that monster roll going in the day because a medium swing got you in trouble back in the day. And now you can get away with bad swings. But when they're on runs like they're on, they don't miss too many shots.
No.
I mean, Rahm has been on what, 5 wins and 9, and Rory's got 4 and 10 or something like
Yep.
that, 11.
Yep. Yep.
And it's like, quite honestly, neither one of them have been putting great. I mean, comparative to the two guys who really roll their rock,
Yeah,
if one of those guys ever gets on a roll,
Yeah.
especially again today because the greens are, I mean, they're just perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Pretty much.
I'm envious. People ask me, well, you're jealous of the money and the playing and all this. And I'm like, well, sure. I mean, money would be great, but what I'm most jealous about is today's greens are so good. I just don't understand how they miss as many putts as they do. I mean,
Yeah.
these are the best players on the planet, and it's eventually somebody's going to come along like Tiger and dominate. I actually think somebody will come along and pass Jack because of
Really?
that simple reason. Well,
Interesting.
there'll be another guy that's as similar to Jack and Tiger, but because of today's conditions, he's going to be able to take advantage of it. And I do think they're going to. I do think some of them will pass Jack.
Interesting.
I don't think Jack and Tiger might be alive, but somebody will come along.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. By the way, as long as you brought up Tiger, what did you got to give him his due last week at Riviera, making the cut? I think he was lucky as hell to make the cut, but also finishing, very respectable 1 under. And like I say, you got to give him his due. I personally think Tiger is not going to compete again. People say, oh, he's going to win tournaments. He's good for another major. I don't think so, and I think there's going to come a point in time, Ken, where if he gets his ego put aside and realizes that, he very well might leave the game.
Well, I thought you were going to talk about his blood cycle, but in terms of Tiger, it's hard to not play tournament golf and then go out and try to beat these guys. I mean,
Yeah.
like I was saying, these guys are the best in the world.
Yep.
And I'm of the believer, because it's Tiger and because it's Jack and those two are ahead of everybody, I would never count him out. I do believe if he's going to win another event, it probably will be a major because he's not going to be playing many of the other ones.
Right. Right.
But I kind of go back to 86 with Jack, and everybody figured he was done. He's 46, and back then it was a little harder again because of the equipment. And he came out of nowhere. So, despite his health problems, I am a believer that he's going to win another event, and I do think it'll be a major. And it's good to see that he's. I don't want to say grown up because I think he just learned some from his lessons.
Yeah.
I try to separate Tiger as a golfer, which is a stud mobile, and then Tiger as the personality golfer, and he's been pathetic, and he's doing better now, and that's where his next job is if he really wants to keep helping the game of golf.
Yeah.
He's got to turn into golf's ambassador.
Right.
I'm with you. Once he reaches that point where he can't compete, I don't think he'll play at all.
Yeah.
I think he's of that mindset. If I can't compete, I'm not going to just show up and be there because people want to see me.
Exactly.
He's going to have to be the ambassador in different ways.
Exactly. No, that's very well said. Ken, what do you consider, and you've known a lot of them, what do you consider the qualities that you have to have in order to be a really good golf instructor? And what should a new player who wants to take lessons be cautious of when they're looking around for an instructor?
Well, it depends on the level. If you're a pretty good golfer and trying to get better, you have to find a teacher who's willing to work with your swing. Some teachers kind of insist that they they have a view how the golf swing should be, and they try to push everybody towards that swing. And I believe that the best teachers are the ones that work with what you have. Unless there's something so dramatically bad that it has to be fixed, period.
Right.
A good teacher will work around a habit you've had that he knows is going to be virtually impossible to change because no one's going to hit that many balls.
Right.
And, so you got to work with what that person has. And I think if someone's looking for a teacher, that's a high priority. And the other is, as stupid as this may sound, the man who can explain it the best. Because a lot of times, I can't tell you how many times Peter Costas, who was my first and only teacher I've ever had, he would say one thing, and I couldn't get it, and I couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. Then he'd tell me another thing, and all of a sudden I'd start doing it, and then I'm like, well, isn't that what you just were trying to get me to do? Yeah. And he goes, yeah, but you're stupid to figure that out, so I had to tell you a different way. And that's what the great teachers will do.
True.
Because sometimes your average person isn't going to understand what you're saying, so he's got to recalculate it.
Right.
And hopefully you'll get it. So I think those are the two best things you want to look for. One that's not going to change you dramatically, and the other one who is very easy to understand and what he's trying to teach you.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Ken. And I think that's the biggest quality that all good teachers have is the communication factor, explaining something on a level that you're eventually going to get. And I think that is so, so important. If you were given the opportunity, Ken, one day of designing a golf course that was going to be used in a tour event, say a PGA Tour event, what are some of the things you would do in designing that golf course to perhaps slow some of these guys down and keep them from shooting these insane numbers?
Well, it's tricky. I've been lucky enough to do 2 courses, but obviously not for a tour event. The first thing I would do is mix up my greens. I'd put a lot of smaller ones, thin, Harbor Town, or even some of them a little thinner. But I'd also mix it up with a lot of big ones. Mm-hmm. All the architects want to be consistent from hole to hole. And I think if you want to get in the head of a good golfer, you got to do just the opposite. So you lull them to sleep, where you put all the trouble on one side, so they avoid the other side, but the other side is actually the worst side, even though there's water or bunkers or stuff that's bad. I would have less bunkering around the greens because the bunkers are too easy.
Yeah.
For good players, and it's a little bit of the Pinehurst, the elevated greens, but really the thinner greens and the narrow greens, if I knew it was going to be a tour event, period, would probably be the best way of doing it, because the biggest weakness of all today's players is their distance control. Mm-hmm. And it's not their fault. That's just the way when you swing as fast as they do now, and you're hitting a ball that's as hard as it is, you're not going to get that incredible ball control that the greats had, whether it's Jack or Johnny Miller might have been the best ever at it. But if you're online distance-wise every time, think about it. If you made a good swing, you're not going to have more than a 15-footer. Mm-hmm. Whereas, to me, that's the best way of and then, there's evil little things you can do by making sure that the grass is mowed a certain way, which is what Augusta has always done.
All right.
But basically, just do thinner and narrow greens and mix it up with some really big greens with 0 bunkers. Give them nothing to aim for, and it will drive a good player crazy. And an average guy would look at the hole and go, this hole's awful. There's nothing on it. Plain, it's blah. But if you take away the targets for the good player, they're not going to hit it stiff. It's just how it works.
I agree. Would you agree with me, though, that, a lot of people, well, let's build a 10,000-yard golf course. You know what? I think even at 10,000 yards, these guys would still shoot some good scores with the distance they have today. I don't think distance is a deterrent.
there's only so much you can do there.
Yeah.
With the distance. I mean, it is what it is. USGA screwed that up, and now we have to live with it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. But I don't think they have to go more than 75, 7,600.
I agree.
You can, again, it all depends on how you mix it up.
Right.
Again, where you're putting this golf course. So is it a windy facility?
Yep.
Is it not so windy? All those are different variables.
Yeah.
To quote, if I was designing a TPC Jacksonville, because that's what that course was for. That was for a tournament. And, that's as good a golf course as you'll find. And good bombers have won it. Short hitters have won it. I mean, that tells you right there that anyone in the field can win that event.
Right.
And that's what you strive for. When you're an architect, it doesn't favor one player or another.
Right.
You've done a great job.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't know if you'll agree with me. I think a lot of these guys get in trouble by simply giving them choices. They get hit this shot, 4 different ways, and they're scratching their head. Well, what should we really do? And that maybe indecision, comes into play a little bit. And that's just my personal observation. Anyway, Ken, stay with us. We're going to take another short break. And when we come back, we will have more with Mr. Ken Green. Stay with us. One of the perks about being in golf media is that I get to try every club ever made. Of course, like most things, some are better than others. I'm here to tell you that I have found unquestionably the absolute best performing set of irons I have ever played, and my scores show it. Let me introduce you to Grindworks, custom fitted irons that are made to fit your game. Grindworks offers players 3 different styles of irons. You can choose muscleback irons, cavity back irons, and even blades, along with some awesome wedges. And when you purchase your clubs, Grindworks lets you choose the type of shaft you want, the type grip you prefer, and even will adjust the loft and lie of your clubs if needed. That's unheard of. So what are you waiting for? Feel the power and experience and performance of these amazing clubs. Simply go to grindworksusa.com or call 281-651-4046 to order. Trust me, your handicap will love you for it.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to more of the show. We are with former tour player, Mr. Ken Green. And Ken, if memory serves me correctly, I believe your first victory on the tour was the Buick Open. What was the most significant feeling you had after winning your first event? Gee, this isn't so hard. I'm on my way. Why don't I do this all the time? Da-da-da-da. What was it?
Well, obviously I remember like it's yesterday, but I don't ever remember saying, it proves that I can do it. I think it was the 2 memories I have the most about winning that one was for the first 9 holes, I was a fader of the golf ball. 98% of my shots were a fade. And all I could hit was a ball that was drawn about 5 yards, even though I was trying to fade it. So I'm like, all right. So on the 10th hole, I start aiming a little right of the hole and literally try to fade it. Next thing I know, I'm shooting 300 or 400 that side and end up shooting 67. And now I do this the rest of the week. Now, this shows you how whacked out I am because it makes no sense. Trying to win my very first tournament, I'm aiming everything right at the hole, but trying to hit a fade. And under the gun, the last 9 holes where it really amps up, I'm still doing it. And for some reason, I couldn't, it just kept working. And it's never happened ever again, which, you know, it's like, of all the things that people read about in my book, and because there's been a gazillion things in there, no one's ever asked me about that. To me, that's like, well, that's really amazing that you were able to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And it, and then the other thing is, and this is a weird thing, is that my mom, who had basically sacrificed her whole life, knowing I could try to play golf and all that, she just like, now I had never contended for a tournament to this date. And she says, I'm coming out, you know, when I was leading on Saturday, and because I know you're going to win. And it's like, what are you, like, whack, Mom? You know, that's like, I'm like, I haven't even sniffed winning a golf tournament. I don't know how I'm going to play tomorrow. And, you know, and then obviously Shelley being my sister, and the three of us, that the hug that the three of us had, to me, is something that,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I still get goosebumps, you know, just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. It had to be just an absolute fantastic experience.
Now, can we talk about something that we don't agree on? Because it doesn't, you know, we're not fighting here. I'm not feeling comfortable here.
Well, I think
I got to prove you're wrong.
Well, I think probably the reason for that is, Ken, you're getting a little older, you're starting to mellow, you're looking at me a little bit differently, and we're simpatico. And I was kind of thinking of the same thing.
Oh, boy,
You're too easy now.
that's bad news.
What, in your view, and you've played with a lot of amateurs, Ken, what, in your view, is the quickest way for the weekend amateur to get better?
Get out of his ego. One, he doesn't hit as far as he thinks he does. They never hit the right club. And then the second is fix your setup. Your grip and your alignment are awful. The alignment, again, something Peter told me. He says, if you're set up properly, there's 100 things that we can do wrong in the golf swing. If you're set up poorly, there's 2,000 things we can do in this. And so
I like that.
It's not that we're that much more talented. And obviously, in many ways, we are. But in terms of learning how to set up properly, it doesn't take talent. It just takes a little work at fixing your alignment, because most of the time it's alignment based. And learn how to fix your alignment, and now you're going to reduce your middle swings will be very playable now, and your bad swings you have a chance. Whereas now your middle swings are double bogey and your bad swings are triple bogey.
Right.
So those are the two things that I would tell. Like, with, you know, I played in a lot of, you know, member guests and stuff with my friends and stuff like that, and we've had a lot of success. And it's mostly because I'm going around coaching them, telling them, you know, you're hitting this, you're doing this, you're doing that. And, you know, they haven't figured out how to score, how to play the game. And that's the third thing, you know, get a hold of somebody that really knows how to score. It's paramount. That's what the game is about.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you've got the Ray Floyd swing or the Lee Trevino swing. You know, if one's a great ball striker, the other was just tenacious, you know, and learn how to score. And, you know, they're trying to hit shots they can't hit. Oh, I was just trying to hit the little low fade, or, you know, like, you can barely hit the one shot you hit good. And, you know, you shouldn't be trying to hit any other shot than one shot.
Yeah.
And, you know, but that's kind of what the golf ego, you know, does to you. Our ego gets in our way. We think we're better than we are.
Totally
You know,
correct.
I've told my friends that it really sucks is I'm becoming more and more like you guys because, you know, I can't play as well. So I'm getting in my own head and doing the same things you guys do.
Oh, that's funny.
How pissed off I am.
That is really funny. Any plans for another book? Or have you got a lot more stuff to tell people?
One never knows. I do
You've
have
got
to
enough
have
for another
stories, so-
book, don't you?
One never knows.
Oh, so that leaves the door open. Okay. All right. So you're just not going to give it up right now, right?
I'm not. I haven't given up on the idea, but I am. At this point, I'm not. But I never say never to anything,
Yeah. Well, all right. That's smart. All right.
except playing golf with you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. I listen, I may be coming down to see it because I'm going to be not too far from you in a couple of months. So be prepared. Very quickly.
Let me know the month. I'll make sure I'm not here.
It's going to be May, by the way. I had a couple of text messages from people. They want to know a couple things. Best course you've ever played, and other than yourself, the best player you ever paired with.
The best golf course is TPC Jacksonville.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, you really got to think. You got to hit all the shots. The one I love the most is Pebble. I don't choose the Wingfoots and the Oakmonts of the world because they're just too hard. The Pebble Beach, the great thing about Pebble Beach is you can beat it up. You can win. It's like being married. You don't win an argument. Well, in Pebble, you can win. And the best golfer I ever played with, well, I happened to catch Johnny Miller in one of his rounds, which was bizarre. But, it's got to be Jack. I mean, I obviously caught Jack on the back end of his career, but,
Yeah.
Knowing what he accomplished and watching him work his way around the golf course was an incredibly learning tool for me.
Yeah.
And, the weird thing about golf is if you want to get better, play with better players.
Totally.
Because
I
you'll
agree.
learn.
I agree.
You'll pick up little things that they do that
Right.
you're like, never even thought of that. And then just ask them questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll get, if you really want to get better. Now, if you're one of those amateurs that thinks they want to get better but really isn't willing to do
Yeah.
it, then just ignore what the hell I
Yeah,
said.
don't do
But
that.
if you really want to get better, that's
You're
how to do
right.
it.
I was told that from day one. Try to play with better players all the time, Dennis. You're gonna learn something. That's great. As
what
far
happened?
as far as Jack goes, I think Jack and Tiger probably are the two best examples of course management that I have seen today. As far as thinking your way around a golf course. Anyway, Ken, thank you so much for coming on the show. Always great having you. And what's in store for you down the road in the immediate future?
I'm actually going to play in the PGA Seniors in Dallas, the new course where, the PGA kind of poured themselves out and went to Dallas. It's opening up. Actually, I think it's opening up the week we play it. So I figured that if it's a new course and just opened, it's going to be hard and fast.
Yeah.
And so it'll be a little trickier. So my scores won't look as bad compared to the others because
Yeah.
I'm gonna have troubles either way. So, so I look forward to that. And then after that, probably just do what I do best and try to play in a couple of the disabled tournaments. I'll play
Right.
the USGA with
Yeah.
Pinehurst
Which is great.
and do what I can to try to help promote and help the people that have been throwing those ugly curveballs.
Yeah. No, you do. When is the tournament in Dallas, by the way?
It's May 25th to 28th, I believe.
Okay, so it's coming up. Do you have a caddy for that?
I do. One of my best friends coming out to caddy for me. So I'm looking forward to that. So it'll be good. Otherwise, you'd be my next
No,
call.
I was going to offer my services if you wanted to act, a real chance to win it. But you got somebody. That's the way it is.
I want to try to give Langer a chance to win that 46 title.
There's another guy that's amazing. Anyway, Ken, thank you so much, and we will be talking to you very soon and have you back sooner than later. Thank you, my friend.
All right, guy, have a good one. Be cold out there. Well, not be cold, actually.
No, it's cold. It's cold. Anyway, thank you. Ken Grain, everybody, just a great guy. All right, we're going to step away again, close the show. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Dennis Silvers, host of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers, and I'm here to tell you about some great wedges and putters from Grindworks USA. First, the Grindworks Barrett Collection Wedge Set. These wedges are unparalleled in today's market. The wedges come to you in 3 different lofts, 51, 57, and 61 degrees, all designed to be able to spin around the greens with the ability to hit high, middle, or low shots around the greens. Grindworks also makes a line of their Windsor Wells Precision Machine putters. This beautiful design of putter was not only created to be appealing to the eye, but to perform better on the greens. You will gain a ton of confidence to help lower your scores. Go to grindworksusa.com or call 281-651-4046. I promise your scores will love you for it. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the 19th Hole Podcast. I've been your host, Dennis Silvers, and hoping the weather here gets a little bit warmer so we could get out and actually play some golf. We appreciate you tuning in, and we're going to see you all back for the next show. So get out, play, keep it in the short stuff, make some putts. So long, everybody.